Doug, Germany's national and regional leaders are set to meet this Monday via video conference to discuss the nation's battle against the third wave. What can we expect from those talks?
Well, we can expect something, Annette, first of all, pretty different from what was the outcome last month. Last month already, before this latest surge driven by the new variants in Germany, especially the UK variant, before that, there had been sort of an agreement that Germany could gradually begin to relax its restrictions similar to those in France, which have been in place really since last November. So we're now in the fifth month in Germany. And sort of the consensus was that you could start to unwind things, start to gradually open up. Now, Chancellor Angela Merkel at the time was actually against relaxing those restrictions, saying it's too early. Let's fast forward a month. We're going into this meeting, and remember, it's a meeting between national leaders, i.e. Angela Merkel herself, plus the regional leaders, that is the heads of the Länder, the federal German districts. A lot of them, they have a draft proposal which is calling for basically, yes, not just tightening restrictions, but also prolonging them perhaps till at least April 18th. That's at least according to the draft proposal. And why? For exactly the reason you mentioned, because Germany, like a lot of Europe, has been taken very much off guard by the intensity and the virulence of these new variants that are more contagious, that spread a lot more quickly, and in some cases, scientists suggest could be more lethal. But you have to say that, basically with a note of caution, could be. So Germany right now is in that sort of applying the brake mode, as Angela Merkel has said, trying to slow things down while they try to rein in these variants, to try to make sure there are fewer contacts among people, smaller groups, smaller chances for clusters to form, because these variants, once they gain hold, they can mutate quickly, and then you have new variants. And the longer it takes to get them under control, the harder it takes to get them under control. So Germany is very much in that sort of defensive posture right now going into this meeting today. And as you know, we obviously saw those protests, big clashes by demonstrators in the central city of Kassel this weekend, because Germans, like a lot of other people in Europe, Annette, are really exasperated and angry, and also more and more distrustful of government when it comes to these coronavirus restrictions.
And France's own tighter restrictions came into force this weekend in 16 regions, including Greater Paris. How are the French coping?
Well, Annette, if you were to walk the streets of Paris this weekend, you would be hard-pressed to actually tell the difference between these latest restrictions and what came before, which was simply a curfew. The fact of the matter is the government itself has avoided the C word, confinement, lockdown. They don't want to use it. Emmanuel Macron was sort of against the idea of locking France down again. He was very cognizant, as are other top French ministers and officials, of the fact that the French are weary, they are psychologically fragile, that their mental health is now just as much of a consideration as their physical health when it comes to this virus. So what this has been called is various things: confinement light, outdoor confinement, because the idea behind it is to encourage Parisians and others beyond the Parisian region under these restrictions to spend their times outside. People figuring better to have them do that with no time limit within a 10-kilometer radius of their homes than to have them inside with the temptation to invite their friends over, to have parties indoors with that potential for spreading the virus. So it is confinement light. A lot of people out on the streets this weekend. You wouldn't necessarily even know that there was a so-called lockdown in place right now. But going ahead, that is not to underestimate still the gravity of the situation here in France. The vaccine rollout still being very sluggish. AstraZeneca they've just resumed the jabs for that vaccine. They're hoping to get others online very quickly with new orders coming. But as of now, it is a slow-going process. And the race against reining in those variants, the ones I spoke about in Germany's case as well, and getting those vaccines and enough people vaccinated, it is a very tight contest. So what's going to happen after this latest confinement, we don't know. It's supposed to go on at least a month. The French seem to be literally breathing a sigh of relief because they're able to go outdoors. But this is hardly life as usual. A lot of shops are still closed, with a few notable exceptions, such as chocolate shops, florists, bookstores, and even shoe repair shops.
Doug Herbert, thank you for that.